The film begins with Ray King waiting for Jane, who's on her way to meet him. While she's walking, a bunch of people managed by Burke are secretly following her. Jane meets Ray, and he tells her about a job. He needs her help to find a 13-year-old boy named Alberto. Since Ray is kind of retired now, he can't do it alone. As they talk, Ray notices the people tailing her, so he quickly leaves. He hides and writes something on his arm before fighting two men and knocking them out, while Jane just walks away. Nearby, a sniper named Cobb tries to aim at him, but doesn't get a clear shot. Eventually, Cobb sees Ray clearly and shoots him. After that, Medina, who's a deputy director, is told what happened and goes to the morgue, where she confirms it's really Ray. On his arm, he had written, "Find the accountant." Then the scene shifts. Chris is getting ready for his first date at the 13th annual Boise Romance Festival, where men stand on one side and women on the other, and they have 5 minutes to talk. A long line forms in front of Chris. The first woman asks him if he believes in love at first sight, and Chris gives a super complicated, cold answer that she doesn't like. He talks to all the women way too seriously, and in the end, he doesn't get a date. Meanwhile, Medina checks the last place Ray stayed. She finds a box with his stuff inside, plus the name of the accountant. She starts digging deeper, putting up pictures on her wall to connect the dots. Burke meets up with the sniper, who's the only one left alive from his team. Burke wants Jane dead, but is lucky because she doesn't remember him. Years ago, Jane showed up and killed a lot of his people, but she didn't know who Burke really was. Medina keeps investigating, and Chris shows up. Medina shows him the cases she pulled out of the box, connecting everything on her wall. Chris knows all the cases by heart and waits quietly until she's done talking. Then he explains everything in perfect detail, helping Medina figure out where Alberto might be. They end up at a pizza shop in California. The boss there refuses to help until Chris steps in, using his knowledge about the boss's shady tax activities to scare him. Chris breaks his arm to get the truth. The boss tells them that girls at a hotel downtown are the ones bringing in the money. Chris says he knows someone who can help. His brother Braxton, who's practicing a speech in a hotel room, is struggling because he hates how he sounds. He eventually gives up and just talks naturally, asking a woman about her hobbies. She's scared and barely says anything. Then Braxton gets a call from Chris asking for help. Braxton's annoyed because Chris only calls when he needs something, not to check in. Braxton returns to the scared woman, confused why she's so afraid. Then we see the room is full of dead bodies. Later, Chris and Medina wait for Braxton outside the hotel. Braxton shows up with his gear, and after 8 years apart, the brothers finally meet. Chris thanks him for coming. They get a room and call in 3 girls. Braxton quickly pays them and asks a strange question. What would they do if they were being held captive and needed a call for help? The girls get nervous. 2 of them back off and return the money, but one stays. She really needs the cash to escape her bad situation. She calls a guy named Thomas, lying that she's in trouble. Minutes later, Thomas shows up but gets taken down by Braxton and Chris. Medina, of course, keeps complaining about their rough methods. The next day, a group of hackers tries to find the mystery girl who was around when Ray was killed. They spot a woman in a pink jacket taking a selfie, thinking she might have captured the mystery woman in the background. They hack her phone, find the selfie, and send it to themselves just in time. They finally get a face, but still don't know her name. Meanwhile, Medina questions Thomas at the station. He doesn't recognize Ray, but he does recognize Alberto's mom. While they talk, Burke's sniper aims at Thomas and starts shooting at others too. Somewhere else, Chris and Braxton chill and talk about life. Braxton says he's lonely because he chose to be, but he's planning to get a dog. He admits he spent years looking for Chris, but Chris stayed hidden. They joke around, and Braxton makes fun of Chris for putting on sunscreen at night. Then they head out for drinks. At the bar, a woman named Angie notices Chris. She asks about his favorite song. Chris, being Chris, says something about metal music, which kills the mood. Braxton scolds him for messing it up. Still, Chris watches her dance and awkwardly tries to join in, surprising Braxton. Angie actually has fun with him. Later, a jealous guy named Jerry tries to pick a fight. Chris points it out, and Braxton gets excited about the chance to brawl. Chris even manages to get Angie's number. While all that's happening, Medina goes to the hospital to check Jane's medical history. After her accident, Jane lost most of her memory, but somehow her brain rewired itself. She could learn new skills super fast, like playing chess aggressively. One night, she attacked security and disappeared. When asked about her family, she just whistled. That night, Chris and Braxton go to sleep. Medina goes home, stares at her picture wall, and gets ready. Jane shows up at her place, and Medina tells her to put her hands up, but Jane attacks. Chris gets a notification that Medina's in danger and races over. Jane overpowers Medina and spots a picture, triggering a flashback. Her memories start coming back, and she sees Burke whistling just like she did in the hospital. Chris arrives, gun drawn, but lets Jane leave. Burke panics when he hears Jane is alive. He plans to take the kidnapped kids into the desert and kill them. Chris and Braxton argue about what happened to Medina, who's now hurt. Then they regroup with their hacker team to find the kids. They suit up with armor and guns and head out. Braxton attacks first, clearing the way. Chris and Braxton shoot their way forward, while Alberto runs into a bus, trying to escape. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a bulldozer digs a giant hole for the kids. The brothers fight their way into a house, using smoke bombs to move through. A sniper hits Braxton, but Chris pulls him to safety. They split up. Braxton gets into a brutal hand-to-hand fight and almost loses until Chris saves him at the last second. They catch up to the bus, where Alberto is being held hostage. Chris stays calm, shoots the bad guy, and rescues Alberto. Braxton frees the other kids. Chris drives the bus to safety, while Braxton jokes about a cat he found and wants to adopt. Meanwhile, in Prague, Badu is ordered to cancel Medina's contract, and he does. Somewhere else in Costa Rica, Burke is relaxing in a bath when Jane shows up. He runs, and she chases him down. Back home, Medina has healed and thanks everyone who helped her solve the case. In the final scene, Braxton is annoyed that Alberto got to keep the cat. Chris tells him he already booked a hiking trip and invites Braxton to come, and Braxton agrees, thinking it sounds fun.